Hey now, ladies and gentlemen. Hey now, 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 hey now. Hour number 4 of the Line Talk 99.5, talk995.com, Real Talk 99.5 TV on YouTube and all that. Underdog Fantasy for you again. Remember, the Underdog Fantasy app is the way to go. Free to download. Doesn't cost you a thing to download. Doesn't cost you a thing to sign up. And I want you to sign up with my promo code, Hey Now, HEYNOW. Even if you think to yourself, I don't want to play Underdog, I bet I can change your mind. But just download the app first. Remember, download the app, sign up, use my promo code, Hey Now, and start looking around. You got the big game coming up Sunday, and that gives you plenty of opportunity to win money, real money. I'm talking about money you can put in your bank account and spend however you like. That's what happens on Underdog. I've won countless times. All my people win. We're just winning money out here, man. Just making picks, winning money. Get your entries right. You win up to 5,000 times your cash. Play with as little as $1. How do you beat that, man? So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use promo code HeyNow to score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5 on fantasy. That's promo code HeyNow. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 19 or older and present in Alabama. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS _.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. All right, so I'm almost through this, but I got to give you the meat of it real quick, okay? So you've heard the full story about the Mexican official, the judge, the people that have been under attack from individuals that are trying to silence the information that they have when it comes to these sex parties and Jeffrey Epstein and everything else. And then we got to the part, August 10th, 2019, where Ken Turner wrote, just heard about Epstein based on what we've discovered here and who was involved in here in Mexico. We don't believe it was a suicide. When you have 5 minutes, you need to listen to what we have as evidence. And then you go back to 2019, July 2019, an unknown detective redacted with the NYPD Child Exploitation Human Trafficking Task Force sent an inquiry request to the FBI asking for assistance with inquiries on consulting with your Mexican law enforcement counterparts. Here's what that said. It said, redacted, contacted an FBI hotline set up for the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, claiming that he was some type of Mexican deputized investigator who is investigating a child sex ring in and around the Mexico City area with a Mexican law enforcement official known as Redacted, who has arrested ex-U.S. Navy SEAL Richard Marcinko. Turner stated that Marcinko is in custody in Mexico City on child sex charges. Redacted claimed that Redacted has in his possession, as some type of evidence, DVDs depicting Jeffrey Epstein engaging in sex acts with minor females, some of who may be USCs, which what I would think mean U.S. citizens. So that email is going through the FBI. Several files were sent to the NYOGA email address almost 1 month later on August 26, 2019. The files included PDFs. One was named Richard A. Marcinko Comprehensive Report with a big long number. It looks like the date, 2019 0729 2014.pdf. And another one that says Kenneth Darrell Turner Comprehensive Report with 2019 07 22 17 04. The last email uncovered so far, though, and the most recent, was sent from Turner on December 31st, 2019. And in this email, Turner claims to have a victim who disclosed several high-powered individuals involved, including the Clintons and the Bidens. And now, this is what everybody wants. Everybody wants the Epstein files because they want to know who the high-profile people are. And it's not going to be just laid out for you. You got to piece it together yourself. But this is what this email says in particular from Ken Turner. It says, as I tried to tell you a month ago, I have continued interviewing the young victim, Carla, and she has finally opened up after her guardian was attacked and beaten by U.S. agents in Chetamul. She has disclosed where she met Epstein, whose homes they visited in New York, Maryland, New Mexico, Florida, Virgin Islands, Cozumel, and Cancun in just the last 2 years with Marcinko. The names she has associated with him and these visits include Clinton's, Biden's, Wayne, older politicians, and lawyers. She has a photographic memory and is an excellent artist who made sketches of some of these men. These U.S. agents who attacked, raped her, and her guardian are under arrest in Mexico and have asked her and her guardian to drop all charges against them so that all the harassing attacks stop. I don't trust these people to not harm her and her guardian due to all the past attacks. If you want to interview her, let me know and we can arrange for you to talk. The NYOGA simply responded with, "Okay, I will let you know. Thanks." And then that's the last email you have on that. So, for people that wanted this stuff, like here it is, and nobody seems to be talking about it. So, whatever you got, whatever you can get out of that. I know that was drawn out, and I probably took that a little too far, but I needed to get all that out there. Let's go to the phone lines. Randall's in Clay. Randall, what's up?
What's going on, Andrew?
Hey, man.
This stuff goes way, way, way deeper than you can get into, and I understand that because you got an audience out there that has cognitive dissonance. But there's probably 5% of the people in this country that actually realize what's going on. And this all started a long time ago, a long, long time ago. People in this country have never been free. You know who I am. You were on my Facebook page before they banned my Facebook page.
Oh, did you get your Facebook page banned?
Yeah.
Well, that ain't good.
But they don't like you talking the truth on Facebook, especially with an election coming up in the midterms. But anyway, this goes way back to 1871 when our country was corporatized, got away from the Constitution. Nobody in this country has been free or had rights like they were supposed to have for 150 years. And after 1871, when the Act of 1871 was passed and they corporatized our government, they in the 1930s and 1913 they went full blast and messed up our money. They messed up they passed income taxes, which are totally unlawful, unconstitutional, and all this is fixing to be repaired, fixed. These people out here that don't know what's going on need to find themselves a conspiracy theorist who will tell them what's happening, because there's a lot fixing to come out, a lot going to be exposed that nobody is ready for.
Well, and I think it goes back to, I mean, it's just in the human mind, and people have been conditioned this way for generations to not be able to when there's something that sinister and something that evil out there, it's hard for us as humans to let our guard down and admit or see things as being like that really happens, even on the issue of immigration and the people that were in favor of open borders, right? The atrocities and the horrors that were happening at the border, that were happening in the process of coyotes and trafficking, and what still goes on in this country with immigrant children being put into forced labor and sex trafficking. These people don't even want to think about it. They don't want to hear it. They just want to. Ignorance is bliss, and as long as they don't know about it, it's okay. And for a lot of people, it's like it's if it's too unbelievable, like there's no need to even take the next step. to
Right,
ask the
right.
questions or try to see if this is true because it is so sinister. You don't want to believe it, but unfortunately, there's this kind of stuff, and it if with elites in this country that happen to be involved with this. This is not it's not something new, and it's not something exclusive to the U.S. I mean, this kind of sick, evil stuff happens all over the world.
Sure. But you try to tell people about it, and they look at you like you got a third eye because uh, I mean, it's just unbelievable to them, and if things have gone on in a certain manner for so long, they don't think that it's fixing to change.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it is fixing to change, and it's going in a good way. We're going back to the republic, and we're going back to the Constitution, and I hope it's soon. I'm sure it'll be within the next year or two.
we'll see. Well, all right, Randall. I appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, man. You have a good day.
The biggest piece of advice you can give people is just, man, just ask questions. If something doesn't make sense, ask the questions. It's, you know, it's it's worth it. I promise. All right, I got to get into some eye stuff with what's happening across the country and as far as, Epstein stuff goes, they're going to use this eye situation to keep you from looking at the Epstein files, but there's a lot to talk about on that front. So we'll get to that. Let me get to Russell. Russell, how are you?
Yes, I don't know if you're aware, but years ago, the hot ticket was jumbo jet junkets to Bangkok, Thailand, to have sex with the children of the poor Thai peasants. That all got exposed, so they had to bring that to an end. But
And that was when did you say that was?
that's been years ago.
Yeah.
I remember we were talking about it back when I used to work down in Florida. Yeah, someone, I don't remember who it was, did an expose of and with pictures and everything. They didn't show any perpetrators, but they showed the children of these poor Thai peasants that were being sold to for these pedophiles to have sex with. They had jumbo jet flights, charter jet flights to Bangkok to have sex with these kids. It's sick.
Yeah.
And this open borders thing, this was a gold mine. Instead of having to mess around with American kids and run the risk of getting caught, you traffic in these kids from South America. Nobody knows who they are. They come across the border and they just disappear.
Yeah. That's
And
exactly right.
thousands of them have disappeared.
That's exactly right.
And supposedly there's someone floating around there. Someone has seen it, a surveillance video of Barack Obama on the yacht. And supposedly by then all of a sudden this kid sticks his head up, is apparently of Asian ethnicity. Obama takes his hand and pushes the kid's head down.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that. But
You know his chef supposedly drowned, don't you?
well, yeah, we've talked a lot about that. He was a guy that was well trained in swimming.
And
So it
also
was,
this thing with Sean Combs. Originally, when they busted him, they were all over him like white on rice. They went to his properties and everything, and there were allegations that he was not just having sex with adults, but having sex with children.
right.
And you notice how all the hot charges against him got dropped, and now what it looked like he was going to do 20 years. Now he's going to do less than 7.
Yeah.
Somebody they didn't. Well, they already whacked Epstein. They looked really smelly if something happened to Combs while he was in prison.
That's true. That's very true. Well, listen, good stuff, Russell. I appreciate it, and it all kind of goes back
You're
to
welcome.
the
I,
general topic or the general consensus of the fact that this is not something that's new. It's not something that they just pedophiles had decided we want to start doing things this way. It's been going on for a long time, and again, it's hard for the American psyche to accept it or even think about it or discuss it when it's, there's sick people in this world, and it's up to those of us that are good, God-fearing people to expose this kind of thing. And it had been accelerated so much with the open borders because these it's you'll see a lot of when you look through this information, you'll see a lot of talk about orphanages in other countries, impoverished countries that don't have the means to really take care of their own people or to take care of their own children, and people that are sick, twisted, evil individuals, they will go to those parts of the world and they will take advantage of it. And to the caller's point there, when you opened those borders, when those borders busted wide open and anybody and everybody could come across where, yeah, there's good, decent people that just want a better life for themselves. There's also good, decent people that were suffering some of the worst trauma and torture that you could imagine, women and children alike, and a lot of which are still going through that today, as these people were disposable. Like the previous administration didn't care about these individuals coming across the border. They didn't. Otherwise, they would have put a stop to the humanitarian crisis that was going on down there. The trafficking and the abuse and everything else. I mean, there were dead bodies scattered along the route that people were taking in order to get to the US Mexico border. And it was just, there was no care in the world. And so people don't, a lot of people, you don't hear about it. Nobody's talking about it. The media's not talking about it. So it's just out of sight, out of mind. But it's real, and people need to understand it's real. 205-545-9950. More of the line coming up right after this. Earnest Financial, retirewithernest.com. Retirewithernest.com. My buddy David Ernest, protecting your retirement. As you know, you're 55 or older. You got over 50K in your retirement. You got to have a plan. You can't just wing it. You can't just let retirement sneak up on you and be like, well, I'll just take my money and do what I want to do. You got to have a plan. Otherwise, you're going to screw it all up. And plus, you want something in there that's going to protect your retirement, make it grow, and be there for you when you retire. You've been working your whole life for this money. Don't just wing it. Don't just leave it to chance. Get with David Ernest and his team and let them come up with a plan for you that fits what you want. It's not going to be a deal where David Ernest tells you what you should be doing or what you need to do when you retire. He's doing it for you. Like, you're guiding him on what you want, what your dreams and your hopes and your aspirations are for retirement, and they get a plan set up is specifically for you to make sure you accomplish all the things that you're wanting to do. And it doesn't cost you anything. They don't get their fees from you. They just help you build a plan, get it together, and you got to take the initiative to call them and get that plan hooked right up. So do it. Call them 833-596-7233. That's 833-596-7233. retirewithernest.com. This one says, maybe Andrew can report on geoengineers slowly poisoning us with chemtrails and fluoride in the water. It's not a natural form and is toxic to our bodies, mostly to children. Seems like he's one that has the balls to take on the real stories. Yeah, I'm crazy, man. I'm crazy enough to talk about that. And it's true. You've actually, when it comes to fluoride in the water, and I didn't pay a lot of attention to it until I first got into radio, and I had some listeners that were very adamant about that. Like, that was their thing. They were talking about fluoride in the water, and this is out in Anniston. And it was brought up all the time, and it kept coming at me, and I thought, what is this about this fluoride? Like, what's the big deal? Like, and as I started looking into it, I'm like, wow, we're putting that in our water. And it continued for years and years. Nobody cared about it. It was another one of those things that was a conspiracy theory. And that fluoride, yeah, and nobody even dared to ask, like, why is fluoride even in our drinking water? Like, why are we putting it in there? They're like, oh, so you don't get tooth decay, so you don't get cavities. Like, that's what toothpaste is for, buddy. That's what the dentist is for. There's no need to put it in our water. But it's very damaging, and it's gone to show that, children have ended up with lower IQs based on fluoride in the drinking water. And as of late, over the past year or two, and thanks to the work of RFK Jr., some cities and municipalities have taken to remove fluoride from their water, but there's still far too much of it out there. She also says something about chemtrails. Very real. We'll find some time to talk about that. All right, so I don't know if we have bombed this show today or if it was really good. There's probably no in between. It's probably one or the other. But I've just, I've seen such crazy things over the weekend. It's been a while since I've seen a weekend like we saw over the past couple of days. Like it's just been, first of all, you've been stuck in the house because it's so freaking cold outside. But then on top of that, it's just like one thing after another. It was almost too much to consume. As I told you, I went back and I watched a documentary called Out of the Shadows, and you can find it on X. I think even Liz Crokin, if you look her up, she posted it. But Out of the Shadows documentary. If you have not watched that, I'm telling you right now, go watch it. Whether you think I'm kooky or you think this is true or what, I don't care what you think. Go watch that. There's a lot of hard evidence in there. And this came out back in 2018, 2019, 2020. It came out a few years ago, and it goes through a lot of different things from what goes on in Hollywood. It then gets into the Pizzagate stuff and what the evidence was on that, as well as the tactics by the government, in particular the CIA and their influence on Hollywood. And it's a lot. It's a lot to consume. But if you haven't watched that, go watch it. If you need a link for it, reach out to me. I'll send it to you. But it's gonna tie into everything that we've been talking about today. And there's one more aspect to this before I move on. One more thing is so Zoran Mamdani, new mayor of New York, has kicked off his administration with, the socialist things he talked about, free buses and housing and all these different things. And now he's going to tax the rich because of, a $12 billion deficit or whatever it is they have. But there's some things that are not working out in his favor, one of which is centering around his unfulfilled promises relating to investigating the police. Maybe not outright defunding the police, but he made it clear on the campaign trail that he's going to go after bad police and he's going to throw them under the jail, and we're going to put more social workers out there and less police and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not going to work out, and he's been told that now that he's in office. You learn a lot of things when you're on the outside. You can view things a certain way. Then you get on the inside and you realize some of that just don't work. Whether it's people are not going to let you do it or it's not manageable or whatever. Zoran Mamdani had that revelation and now is not replacing police with social workers, which causes his hardcore supporters, his socialist supporters, to be very upset. And there were protesters outside of Gracie Mansion, the governor's mansion in New York, that were yelling at Zoran, telling him shame, saying that we was with you, Zoran. We voted for you, Zoran. We advocated for you, Zoran. You ain't did nothing but get up in there and lie to us. You lied, Zoran. Shame, Zoran. That's the exact quote from some of the protesters. And so they're upset about that particular issue. But there's another issue that the protesters brought up, and this is what they said. They're now saying, why are you in the Epstein files? And where they're getting that from is that Zoran Mamdani's mother is allegedly pictured in some of these photos with Jeffrey Epstein. And it leads some to, and not just his mother, but like a little child, Zoran Mamdani is in the picture. And it's leading some people to ask the question, and I know this is crazy, but they're like, is Jeffrey Epstein Zoran Mamdani's dad? I know that would be it's a wild plot twist. And look, I don't, that may just maybe not true. I don't know. But it is true that his mom's in the pictures with Epstein. And so people are like, wait a minute. The guy we just voted in as New York mayor is in the Epstein files as well? That's a little weird. You know what? One name I haven't seen in the Epstein files so far, and maybe I missed something, but the one that doesn't seem to be involved in any sort of trafficking or pedophilia, ironically enough, Michael Jackson. I haven't seen anything about Michael Jackson in there, which is crazy. You know, there's days where I think like Michael Jackson, who, you know, got, I guess, acquitted with charges back when he was alive, but then had some sort of civil lawsuit where he settled out of court but never admitted wrongdoing. I mean, there's stuff I've seen where I'm like, I don't even know that Michael Jackson was guilty of diddling kids. I mean, the perception was easily there to say that he did, but, you know, truth is stranger than fiction. And with what's out there, it's like, you know, can you really dismiss anything? So, you know, maybe it's possible Michael Jackson got railroaded by the powerful elite and pinned as a pedo. But his legacy lives on. Still one of the greatest performers of all time, and everybody still listens to his music. So, anyway, that's that. That's Zoran Mamdani for you. Chuck Davis, ChuckDavisLaw.com. ChuckDavisLaw.com. You'll know Chuck is my personal attorney. Great guy, just all around great guy. And in that industry, I can't, you know, I don't know a lot of lawyers. I don't know many at all on a personal level. But I do know Chuck personally, and I got to imagine that there's not many Chucks out there. Guys that'll just be straight up with you and help you every step of the way with whatever it is you need. He shoots you straight, and that's what I appreciate about him. He's not an attorney that's gonna blow smoke up your ass about, oh, we can do this or we can do that. He's gonna be real with you, but he also is expecting to get the best possible outcome for you in whatever your situation might be. It could be personal injury, could be a car wreck, a slip and fall, a wrongful death, or you could be dealing with divorce and custody, which is sucks. And you really need somebody on your side in those situations. Probate, contracts, wills. If you don't have those wills done for yourself, your parents, your grandparents, go ahead and get those done. Those are vitally important. Horror stories come out of situations where a loved one didn't put together a will, and next thing you know, the family is like at each other's throats fighting over material things. You don't want that. You don't have to deal with that while grieving a loved one. So make sure those things are taken care of. You can get it all done. 205-823-9992. That's his phone number. 205-823-9992. And online, ChuckDavisLaw.com. ChuckDavisLaw.com. No representation is made that the legal services provided are superior to the legal services provided by other lawyers. Several ICE things that I got to get through that I don't even know that I'm going to have time for. One in particular, and I stated this, Minneapolis, ICE stuff all across the country, the upcoming Super Bowl halftime show, all of this is going to be used to say, don't talk about the Epstein files. And for the people that wanted the Epstein files the most, they're going to be the most silent. They're going to be the most adamant about you paying attention to something else opposed to what came out in those files. And remember, there's 3 million pages. There's still more to come as people sift through it. But they will use this, and they will. It's psychological warfare almost, because they, in coordination with the protesters themselves, will make sure that people's lives are disrupted in some way to keep them distracted from the bigger picture. And it's maybe not even an Epstein files thing. Maybe it's much bigger than that. Maybe it's just a plethora of issues. But that's often been the case. Those in power and those that are evildoers, if you will, that whether they control the media or they run the government or whatever, they're in the business of keeping you distracted because the more distracted you are, the less you see their nefarious behavior. And you will see that with the anti-ICE protest is as it's been going on for a while, it will continue to take the forefront. And even on a local level, they make sure they do it in a way that disrupts people's daily lives. I saw one incident where leftists invade a Minnesota Target store. Actually, it wasn't even a store. I think it was multiple Target stores and were demanding for the CEO. Like the CEO is just going to be at a random Target, you know. But they were, chanting F ICE, shut it down. Cops eventually showed up and kicked them out, but the cops in Minneapolis have their hands tied for the most part. This is the kind of stuff that will disrupt people's day-to-day lives and take center stage. There's another one where Minneapolis insurgents set up barricades and blocked cars and were running license plates and checking IDs for people going into particular neighborhoods. Imagine going into your neighborhood and you are being stopped in your neighborhood by a group of pink hair, armpit having white liberal women demanding that you identify yourself to them, even they have no authority whatsoever to make you do so, running your license plate, gathering your information. Imagine that that's what you had to deal with in your neighborhood. That'd probably take center stage as far as, like what you're worried about for the day. But this one was crazy because I watched the video. A Minneapolis Crime Watch posted photos from Sunday's neighborhood ICE block party with details on the location and a plea for the local government to do something. They said, submitted from South Minneapolis, agitators have set up roadblocks and are checking people's ID who try to pass through the area from 32nd to 34th and Cedar Avenue. This is absurd. Contact Mayor Fry and Minneapolis Police Department chief and tell them to shut this down. I mean, it was like a little, what was it when they had in Portland? The, what did they call that? When they took over a few blocks of the city, it was the I can't remember what it was. The Antifa thing they did. I don't remember what it was called. Somebody on the text line will tell me. An account called Minneapolis Spring posted a video from the insurgent checkpoint. Quote, watch community defenders stop an out-of-state vehicle at the filter blockade, run the plate through a database, and confirm whether the vehicle is affiliated with abductors before being let through. A copy of the video reposted says Antifa in Minneapolis is literally building checkpoints and stopping vehicles on the road to run their license plates and see if they're affiliated with ICE before they let them through. It's crazy. And they were posting flyers. One says, get outside, join the anti-ICE filter blockade at 34th and Cedar. It says needs are barricade materials, firewood, signs, and art materials. Most importantly, you. So they were recruiting people to do this. This was yesterday, by the way. This was all going down yesterday morning. Blocking people from getting home and making them identify themselves. Like, what world do we live in, bro? What bizarre? If I'm living in Minneapolis, I'm getting the hell out of there as soon as possible. I'm done with it. They know it. You couldn't pay me enough money to live in Minneapolis. I'd rather go live in New York. I'd rather go to the socialist haven of New York at this point than go to Minneapolis. I wouldn't do it. Ain't no way. Ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way. All right. Let's see. 205-545-9950. One more time, Underdog Fantasy. UnderdogFantasy.com and the Underdog Fantasy app. Make sure you use my promo code, which is Hey Now. Sign up. Use that promo code and get the pick, and you get bonus fantasy entries when you use my promo code. The big game coming up this Sunday. Seahawks, Patriots, your chance to win real money. Make your picks, get them right. Win up to 5,000 times your cash. Play with as little as $1. You can't beat it. Now's the time to download the app. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use promo code HeyNow to score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5 on fantasy. That's promo code HeyNow. Underdog make plays, win money. Must be 19 or older and present in Alabama. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS _.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Back after this.
America has the
Boomer made a good point on the text line. He said, let me get this straight. They want to ID ICE, but they don't want to show an ID to vote. That's a good point. You got to have an ID to get in your neighborhood by people that don't even live there. But an ID to vote, that's racist. Can't do that. Chop Zone, that's what it was. Chop Zone. Chaz, Chop, whatever they called it. That was the spot in Portland where they took over, and basically Portland just let them have it. And that's what you kind of happened with the Minneapolis police showed up at this checkpoint in this neighborhood, and talked to the protesters, and they were like, well, we're not going anywhere. And the Minneapolis police was like, okay. And then they just kind of left. They said, well, we want to, this. They showed up and they said, we just want to make sure emergency vehicles can get through here, fire trucks, ambulance, whatever. And they were like, well, we'll just move this stuff if an ambulance comes through. And then the police just turned around and walked off and didn't stop them. That thing could still be going on today. I don't know if it was just a one-day gimmick or if they're still doing it. I don't know. I mean, it's you block off the wrong neighborhood, somebody's going to be having a bad day, and they're going to drive right through your blockade. I mean, it's a reality. You're really you're really taking some chances by just telling people they can't come into their own neighborhood without showing you their ID. It's not smart. But we're not dealing with smart people. We're dealing with very low IQ people. And people that think they're smart but have a low IQ and refuse to really just pay attention to what's going on. It'd be amazing if these individuals, or if anybody for that matter, because I've seen a lot of people, from a lot of different backgrounds and even a lot of what they've traditionally considered themselves politically affiliated, have differing opinions on what's going on with ICE. And all of it there's one common denominator for all of the opinions that I see, and it's just that they're ill-informed. And I'm not saying they're stupid. I see some very smart people. I see friends that, have their opinions on this, that, or the other. And a lot of people just don't understand, like, what's actually happening and what these ICE officials are doing. And they're drawing conclusions from what they see opposed to what they know, because a lot of people just don't understand how these operations are taking place or who's being targeted and everything else. And so they just assume the worst. There's just a bunch of, bootlicking thugs that are out there looking to, send brown people to another country or harm people. And none of it's true. Noto Roofing before I get out of here, and NOTOroofing.com. NOTOroofing.com. 205-848-2299. That is 848-2299. Y'all get that free roof inspection, man. It's waiting on you. It's been waiting on you for a long time. Some of y'all hadn't done it yet. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, now is the time. Now is the time. You thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. Well, stop thinking about it and actually do it. 205-848-2299. NOTOroofing.com. I am out of here. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode. Lead It Live up next. Until next time, see ya, cuz.